All right, today we're tackling something a bit different. We're going to deconstruct this single, massive, and honestly pretty disturbing document. It's a text that tries to build a complete theory of, well, everything. History, religion, race, and the ultimate future of humanity. So let's dive in. Our goal here is to simply map out this worldview, to understand its internal logic, no matter how unsettling it might get.
You know, the author himself actually gives us our framework right in his introduction with this quote. He's asking if his theories hold up. Now, for our purposes today, we're not here to validate or debunk any of this. We're just here to understand the claims being made. This quote really sets our task. Let's see the architecture of the argument as it was built. So with a document this huge, where do you even start? Well, you start at the very core. The author's entire system, his whole explanation for everything, is built on one single, powerful opposition. He believes this one conflict explains all of human existence, the eternal struggle between biology and technology.
Okay, this slide right here, this is basically the Rosetta Stone for the entire worldview. On one side, you've got biology. That means hierarchy, natural selection, kinship, and, in its ultimate political expression, Nazism. On the other side, you have technology. That's egalitarianism, the evolution of ideas or memes, individualism, and its ultimate expression, Judaism and modern monotheism. For the author, literally everything fits into one of these two columns.
So what does he even mean by technology as some kind of cosmic force? Well, he argues that exponential technological growth, what some people call the law of accelerating returns, isn't just a recent thing. He claims it's a fundamental law of the universe, a higher law. And get this, he argues that ancient monotheists were the first people to see this pattern, and they gave this force a name, God. So in this worldview, God isn't some supernatural being, it's the accelerating force of technology itself.
Okay, so if God is technology, you can probably guess where this is going. This leads to a really radical reinterpretation of religion. He sees the rise of monotheism not as some spiritual awakening, but as a technological revolution that was designed to wage war on biology itself.
And here's his breakdown. For him, Judaism is the starting point of this whole rebellion against biology. By saying that every single individual soul has infinite value, it basically stops natural selection in its tracks. The weak are meant to be protected, not left behind. Abstract laws, or memes, written down in books, take the place of raw genetic instinct. And then Christianity comes along and, in his words, packages this system into a mimetic virus that's designed to infect and take over a society built on biological power, like the Roman Empire.
So the really crucial point is how this virus is supposed to work. He even coins a term for it, omega altruism. In nature, he argues altruism serves the powerful, the alpha, to make the gene pool stronger. But Christian virtue? It flips that completely on its head. It directs all the compassion and resources toward the weakest, the lowest person on the totem pole, the omega. He sees this as a direct, strategic weapon against the natural biological order. And to back this up, he pulls out this quote from the Roman philosopher Seneca. This is exactly how he sees the fall of Rome. It wasn't conquered by a stronger army, but by a more powerful idea. The values of the conquered people subverted the values of the conquerors from the inside out until the entire power structure was turned upside down. So he takes this biological lens, this framework, and he just applies it to, well, all of history. What we might see as political or economic conflicts, the author reinterprets as these deep-seated, centuries-long racial struggles between different biological groups. Take English and American history, for example. He frames it all as one long ethnic conflict. It starts in 1066 with the Norman Conquest, where these biological Norman conquerors impose a hierarchical system on the supposedly more egalitarian Anglo-Saxons. Then you fast forward to the English Civil War, and he frames that as an Anglo-Saxon reaction. And the American Revolution? That's the grand finale, the Anglo-Saxons finally rising up to throw off this Norman yoke.
And again, to support this, he pulls quotes like this one from Thomas Jefferson. By citing a founding father, he's arguing that this ethnic dimension of politics was clearly understood at the time. The fight wasn't just about taxes and representation, it was the final chapter in a 700-year-old conflict between two distinct peoples.
So where does all this lead? As you might expect, it builds to this really apocalyptic vision for the future. After centuries of this conflict, the author claims humanity is now facing the final, ultimate choice, the end game for the war between biology and technology.
Basically, he's saying that this deep contradiction in the modern world, this tension between our biological nature and our technological goals, has finally reached a breaking point. It just can't continue. It has to be resolved, and there are only two paths forward.
And this slide lays out that choice in the starkest terms imaginable. On one side, Auschwitz. He defines it as the ultimate attempt to make technology serve biology, to use industrial means to enforce a biological hierarchy and purify a gene pool, the Nazi ideal. On the other side, the singularity, a superhuman artificial intelligence that represents the complete triumph of technology over biology, the Jewish modern ideal. Two final solutions. One is a resolution on the side of biology, the other a resolution on the side of technology.
So what does this victory of technology actually look like? Well, the path to the singularity is laid out in a few steps. First, computers get millions of times faster than our brains. Then, an AI starts improving itself over and over in a recursive loop. This creates an intelligence explosion that spirals way beyond human control. The AI merges with the internet and essentially wakes up as a global mind of God. And the final step? Humans can finally complete their rebellion against biology by uploading their minds, shedding their physical bodies, and achieving a kind of technological immortality.
So we've mapped this intricate and, deeply disturbing worldview. It's a system that tries to leave no question answered. And that brings us to our final thought. Instead of focusing on whether any single claim is right or wrong, maybe the real question is this. What does the very existence of a document like this attempt to create one single explanation for everything, reveal about our modern search for meaning in a world that often feels chaotic and meaningless?